Well, hello, hello, hello. Talking about what people have to put up with. Listen, I'm going to put the link out there right away, right away, right away, just in case I am not the only one. Somebody can come on and let's talk about it. So, there's so much going on that I just feel like we can talk about um, what people are putting up with. I see people are coming in, stand by. I just want to just say this. Let me say this. Um, Most of the time, I am a positive person. But the world we live in now has become such a doggy dog world. Who's with me on that? Am I the only person? I know I can't be the only person that feels this way. We are about healing over here, the mind, the body, and the soul. But how many times have we heard, there's a spiritual war? Yet many people keep going as if the world is healing on its own. It's not healing on its own. We have to put in the work. The jobs, our friends, the hospitals, the clinics, the facilities. Why is it that we are um how come we're not teaching alternatives? If the world is in a bad place, why are we not teaching alternatives? Instead, there's a lot of jealousy going on. So that's what I want to talk about today. And there's so much more. I think I'm just going to take it slow, a little at a time, but please share this out, cuz I know there's some people that may need to hear something or may need to say something. We're in a world where people are literally, listen, doing things just to get recognized. I don't know how to put it in perspective. I just know that right is right and wrong is wrong, in my opinion. Let's bring up Dr. Dorothy. Okay, in my opinion. Let's bring up Dr. Dorothy. Okay, in my opinion. Let's bring up Dr. And Dr. Dorothy, turn one of your devices off. In my opinion. Let's bring up Dr. And Dr. Dorothy, turn one of your devices off. We'll wait for her to turn. Okay, let's see.
It's off. My device is off, and there
We'll wait
was.
for her to turn. Okay, let's
There
see.
was. My device is off, and there was.
I think one
There's
is
a horrible feedback, Jewel. My device is off, and
you're echoing. One
there's
is
a horrible feedback, Jewel.
you're echoing. One
There's
is
a horrible feedback, Jewel.
you're echoing. So both of your devices are off?
Yes,
Okay, how are you tonight?
I'm good.
Devices are off? Good.
Okay.
I was just talking tonight about how there's different things we have to put up with. But I'm getting an echo somewhere.
Yeah, it's a big echo.
Your phone on? Somewhere.
No, my phone is off. My phone is all the way off. It's my phone is on power off. It's off.
And how about one of your tabs on your computer? You have to turn off your tabs on your turn off YouTube or turn off StreamYard. I'm not sure which one you have on.
I came on.
Turn off YouTube or turn off StreamYard. I'm not sure which one you have on.
I came on.
Or turn off StreamYard. There's an echo. All right. There's an echo. All right. How about now? Can you hear okay?
I can hear a lot of sound.
Can you hear okay?
No, it's not.
I'm not sure what's going on, but
It's a lot of echo. There's
okay.
a boom, boom, boom kind of sound. And it seems to be independent of anything. My phone is off. It seems to be independent of anything. My phone is off. It seems to be independent of anything. My phone is off.
I'm not sure. I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing you. So, are you on 2 devices?
No, I'm not.
Just one?
I'm on StreamYard. StreamYard opened up.
Okay, so, and then turn off your YouTube. Okay, click out of YouTube.
I am out of YouTube. I'm not on YouTube. I am out of YouTube. I'm not. Hello?
Yes. I hear you much better now.
I can hear you without all of that sound. That sound was disturbing.
Yes,
I
it
don't know
was.
what happened. I have no idea, and I'm not going to speculate. I will say hello. How are you?
Wonderful.
Can you hear me
Well, I can hear you now.
now?
So,
Okay.
yeah, but these devices, listen, we're all trying to figure it out. That is okay. We are on now and everything is copacetic. So
I haven't heard that word in 100 years. Copacetic. Okay.
That's one of my favorite words, I tell you, because we learn so much, and it's just good to be able to talk to people that get what you say, that understand your terminology. Because a lot of us, I keep saying communication is really bad. So at least you know some of the terms that I use. That's refreshing.
Yes. Yeah.
How have you been?
I've been really, really busy and busy in a good way. I'm getting ready to have my house painted inside. And the preparation for that has been ginormous because I love books. I'm a big bibliophile. I must have 1,000 books, including my office, my bedrooms, the living room. I don't think I have that many in the bathrooms, but all over the house and all over the garage. So not only have I had to box so many of them, I've had to label them. I've had to choose which ones I'm going to keep and which ones I'm going to donate. But it's worth it because they will start painting Monday. Hallelujah. They'll start painting Monday. And then we're assuming it may take a week, during which time I can rest. I'll spend some time with my daughter. I'll rest, and then after they paint, then we'll have to start putting things back into place. But I think it'll be slimmed down. It won't be as much of everything that happens when you've lived in a place for 18 years. And I've been here for 18 years. And it shows.
Wow.
It shows.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
something.
But it's
Well,
good. It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling.
that's good. That's good. I understand. Because we had some stuff done, and it's a lot of work, and I'm still going through and still trying to shred paper, and it's crazy. Let me share this out real quick. Um well, I know you'll be glad once it comes and goes.
Yeah.
Uh that'll be nice. Um let's see. I'm just sharing it out a little bit. But yeah, what I wanted to do is talk about, well, that's something, how people have to put up with so much stuff, and the fact that we still have lives to live, and that gets frustrating, because we got to balance out, we got to take care of home, we got to deal with society, we got to deal with other stuff, we got to go to the store, we got to eat, we got to cook, we got to, it's so many everyday life struggles, and then we got to put up with shenanigans. So that's why I say it's copacetic, because I don't care how much we do, we still got to try to stay positive and still try to um, get through things as if, nothing's bothering us. But in these times, it's always good to be, what can I say? Honest, with ourselves and with one another. And I'm finding that a lot of people have no clue how to articulate when they're overwhelmed or when they're stressed out. And then many people will come to, uh, what can I say, their perspective. So we're in a world of hurt, in a world of trouble. The other day, I was trying to support another platform. As you know, there's so many platforms out here, and you try to develop a sisterhood or kinship, and then you get stumped on, or I don't know how that is or why that is, but I'm also finding out that people think you're trolling them when all you're trying to do is support other pages. And I don't know if you remember when I said we all need to come together, we all need to support one another, but I don't think a lot of people want that kind of support. I think they want to try and become great on their own. I don't know what that is, but what I notice is I'm thinking there's nothing wrong with supporting one another. And I noticed when you were saying how you wrote your book and it was mostly for you, and how you were healing, and then people started catching on.
I
They're
think Jewel, and since you've used the term copacetic, which is sort of an older word, there's a phrase that I still remember this many years later, and I think it was a Western, but one of the characters said, "What we have here is a failure to communicate." And if it was that big of a problem, say 20, 25 years ago, when there wasn't as much technology and all of the things that we have now, being able to communicate, simply to make a statement and have it responded to based on the way the statement was put out there, is very unusual. And it's almost as if people now are spoiling for a fight. everything has to be controversial. Versal. Everything has to be either this side or the other side. You have to either be red or blue. You can't be independent. You can't be beige or whatever. And I'm not quite sure, and I say this as a former teacher, I'm not quite sure we did a good enough job in teaching students to listen and how to listen, because there are skills and techniques that help the process go forth. And I'm just not sure that many people are prone just to listen to the other person until that person has finished what that person is saying, and then allow the person to respond. And I'm guilty. I just did it. You were talking, and I butted in and said what I said.
But
That's
there's validity to that. There's validity to that.
I that's true. There is, but we live in such a paced world, such a quick moving world. My goodness gracious, one thing can't happen before two other things happen. And I think we become very frustrated. I think we don't know how to handle the overload of information that we have to deal with that we didn't even start. I mean, we just got too much information. You're talking
Yeah,
about TMI, it's too much. It's
I
like
agree.
the phrase, the world is too much with me. When industrialization came into being in the 18th and 19th century, the world just got to be too much then. And that's before the internet. That's before the fast pace of communication. That's before we had three different options to occupy one specific set of time. And I think people are just frustrated.
I agree. Just like someone asked me, was I going to watch the debate? I said, no, it's just going to be a circus. Uh, and then you'll get it on the news. And sure enough, uh, it was on all day long. Hello, Miss J. Come on in. Come on in. I think I put the link on the in the comments section if you want to come in. We're just getting started. We had a little technical difficulty, but we're started on a topic, so come on in. But yeah, I think you're right. We get TMI, and I said I would read about it. So that's what I said I would do. I would read about it, and I started reading, but that's a whole nother thing. And then everybody gave their 2 cents of how they felt, who won, who do they think would win. And I just vowed never to do politics on my platform. But last week you were on and you were talking about how important it was to vote. Let me tell you, I held on to my ballot to the last day, to the last 2 hours, trying to figure out what I needed to do. And finally, I said, you know what? I went all the way by your house and forgot the ballots, had to turn around and come all the way
Oh my
back to get
goodness.
them. And let me tell you, yes, it is important to vote because without voting, you do not have a voice. And I've been voting since I was 18 years old.
Mhm.
So yeah, this one is going to be something, and we can have our 2 cents and talk about what we think, but at the end of the day, which one is going to worry about the whole, not just a few? And that's my point, and I'm sticking with it. And and that's gonna help people to make healthy choices too,
And
because
I
go
quite
ahead.
agree. I quite agree. It's like everything. and this is the last thing I'll ever say about politics, but it's like everything has to be the question, who can entertain me better than the other? And
Yeah.
so the issues get lost. You know what I did Thursday night? A friend
What?
of mine got invited to the showing, the pre-showing of a movie titled The Forge, Forge. And it's
Okay.
produced by the Kendrick brothers, the ones who brought The War Room way back in what 2015, Courageous, and some other movies. Uh, Primarily, the actors are all black, different ages, different socioeconomic conditions and situations, and all of that. And it was one of the most stirring, informative uh, movies that I've seen and since COVID. It was
Really?
inspirational. It had a message because all of the Kendrick brothers movies have a message. The message this time, I think, really may have been in response to what's going on in the world, but it had to do with discipleship, with us not only being students, but bringing other people into that kind of forum and helping people to grow. No axes to grind, no political message to push, but it had to do with people learning how to live with each other, to have differences of opinions and beliefs and all of the rest of it. But the foundation for discipleship was respect and love,
Absolutely. That's
those
right.
two things. And it was interwoven through the plot of the movie. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. And of course, first thing next morning, one of my sisters called and asked me, "Did you watch the debates?" And I told her no, and started talking about the plot of the movie. Now, the movie won't uh, start nationally until August 23rd. It was
Okay.
way out in Highlands Ranch last Thursday. But
Okay.
it's a movie that I'd go back and see more than once or twice because of the uplifting message. See, I want messages that make me feel that there's hope. I
That's
want
right.
messages that applaud the works of other people. Yes, I know we're competitive and all of that, but that's the kind of messages I prefer. And so it's either that or go to my favorite university, which is the YouTube University, and learn something. That's
Exactly.
what I prefer to
Exactly.
do.
Yeah, Miss J saying yes, which is true. We have to put up with so much stuff, and there's no solutions, very few that we all know about. And that's why I was saying, it's important for us to come together so that we can uplift one another. And like you say, um, you know, love one another. But people are at the point where, listen, I think people are so used to being abused that they don't even know what uplifting is all about. Because can I tell you, when I went to that one particular platform, I
Mhm.
was trying to uplift the lady,
Okay.
and she was abusing people, cussing them out, telling them that they're not supposed to be doing this and that and the third. How is that going to uplift people and help them to heal when you're cursing at them, calling them out of their name, this, that, and the third. That's not uplifting. And how are you? And these people clearly are following this lady, and she's doing nothing but antagonizing them, making them feel like they're less than human. Now, if I were to say that, I'm sure gossip, gossip, gossip. Did you hear Jewel was cussing people out? But yet the lady even came for me. And one thing I will say is, I don't need to curse people out to get them to follow me. I'm going to tell you the truth. And so I got to look for that movie that you're talking about, because that's what it's all about. Uplifting people and spreading positivity. Even if you don't even like their platform, keep going. There's millions of other platforms, that we can watch. But what you're not going to do is call me out and say, well, how come you're not doing it? Well, if you haven't checked out my stuff or even try to look at what I'm trying to accomplish, don't call my name, don't call me out, and don't say, what did she say? She said, bake and shake or steak and shake or something like that. You don't do that to people when they're trying to support you and trying to support what you're doing, because here we are in 2024 and we're trying to support people on these platforms, no fault of our own. We didn't know that we were going to be in this situation. But what I can say is people are creative. There's a lot of creative people in this world. And the ones that like positivity instead of negativity, those are the people that I'm trying to align myself with, because I'm not going to watch anybody and let them curse me out and then think that they're telling the truth, giving the wrong information about health and wellness. No wonder people are all jacked up, because they don't know who to trust. They don't know who to believe.
Well,
And so
they absolutely don't. And it sounds like something that was happening 20 years ago. Remember shock radio? And you had
yes,
all these people trying to outshock each other. And
that's
that went for entertainment.
yep,
And the people accepted that as entertainment. To be denigrated, to be talked down to be yelled at. Well, if I
yeah,
wanted to do that, I could pick a fight with one of my sisters or whomever. But no, that's what it's ratings, ratings, ratings.
yeah.
And
That's what it is.
what purpose is it? You got more listeners or supporters or likes or whatever than I do. Well,
Yeah.
everything doesn't have to be a competition.
Well, yeah, yeah,
When I was doing diversity work, I would say, let's not deal with either or. Let's deal with and.
and
AD. It doesn't have to be a forced choice, either or. There's room for some ands. There's room for some agreement.
I
And
agree with
there's
that.
room to learn from each other. But for me to put myself up as the arbiter of what is right or wrong, good or bad, strong or weak, I'm not that powerful. Nor would
Hello.
I want anybody to think that I had that kind of power. That is not
Right.
really false power. That's what one of my brothers would call bravado. That's just putting it
Yes.
on.
And that's exactly it. And that's exactly what this energy is like in on these YouTube streets, Facebook streets, Instagram streets. But here we are in 2024, and we're talking about words like be transparent, growth, decompress, worthy, healing. And then she goes, get off my page. And she boom.
Oh my goodness.
but yet she's talking about healthy choices, talking about what you should be eating, what you shouldn't be eating. God created everything. And how are you going to tell somebody what they shouldn't be eating and then going to ask me, what do I know about it? Listen, I live my life this way. I'm not
Mhm.
trying to get clicks and views. I have authentic clients. I'm not trying to pay to get 130,000 followers. I can't accommodate 130,000 people. But what I can say is the way she treated her audience, that's cancer causing. That is
Yeah,
negativity.
yeah.
And I listen, I unfollowed her. I don't need nobody to curse me out. I don't need anybody to give me half truth because I'm the type of person you can't tell me anything. I'm going to look and do the research for myself. And so, for those that know me, know I always talk about character. It's about your character because if your character that means everything to me. It's not just a word; it's action. Action
Oh,
speaks louder than words. But I know people react differently. Um, Strong people, we got to talk about strong people because people know how to approach you and then they want to say, oh, they're strong, but strong people get weak too. They think they may be, acting funny, but they're not acting funny. They are processing because a lot of times people that are strong are they're loners. So we don't have time for shenanigans, and that's the thing about me. When you're talking about healing, you don't sit up there and give them the half truth. I say people need to stay in their lane. Don't be selling all these supplements and acting like telling people how to, well, they'll say, oh, well, I got a headache. What can I take for a headache? And this person will give them a root, a tea, a leaf. And what happens if they have a reaction? They're not even medical, but they're telling people to take all this stuff. And then what happens if they have a reaction? Then they'll ask for their money back. I bet you they won't get their money back. That's something that I have a problem with. That's why I try to keep it healthy on my page. I try to keep it positive on my page because I want people to understand the difference between a lie and people trying to get clicks and views versus those that really care about people. That's worse than a hospital. You go to the hospital, they'll give you a med. You go to the doctor, they won't tell you how to make healthy choices first. They'll put you on a med. But
yeah.
that show, you're right. I think that show has come back on a larger scale.
Well, when I lived in Florida, and I lived in Florida for 5 weeks, during that time, and this is before my daughter died, I was doing grief work primarily because some years earlier, my only grandson died of sudden infant death syndrome. And so, SIDS. And so I started offering those kinds of sessions. In one session, there was a judge. He was a member of the church where I was presenting. And he said something that stuck with me and that I practice to this day. He said that before he would leave his office and go and sit on the bench, he would read one chapter from the book of Proverbs, and it would be the chapter that coincided with the date. So if it was the 29th, he would be reading Proverbs.
Oh,
There's no 20, yes, there is 29 chapters. He'd read that. and that he had been on the bench for over 12 years, and not one of his decisions had been overturned. And he attributed that to reading from the book of Proverbs, because if Proverbs does nothing else, it teaches wisdom and how
Nice.
to
Yeah.
acquire wisdom. It teaches how to learn discernment. It teaches how to gather knowledge. And he had been doing this for years. So I thought, that is a fantastic idea. And even when I moved from Florida back to Denver, I've still practiced that. Now, usually I try and do it first thing in the morning to set my day. But some days it's frantic and I don't get it until the afternoon. But I try and read that chapter for that day.
Okay.
And many times I read these over and over again. I find something new each time I read it. So what I
That's
want
true.
is understanding. Lord, give me discernment.
That's right.
Uh, Whoever you call your God, ask for discernment. Ask for
Honey.
understanding. And Solomon, King Solomon, says so much about wisdom that it's hard to read all of those 31 proverbs and not gain at least a little bit of wisdom. And that's what
That's
we
true.
need. We don't
Yes,
need
we do.
we don't need to be put down. We don't need to be yelled at. We don't need to one-upmanship being played on us. Uh,
Right.
we need wisdom. And,
That's
and,
right.
and above all, get understanding, get wisdom.
I
And
agree.
don't be so quick to jump to a conclusion, because you could be jumping the wrong way. The
See,
only
that's why
time, the only
listen,
time
that's
something
why,
was ever important to me was when I learned how to play hopscotch. Okay, then you jump. But to jump to conclusions and you don't even have all of the information, not even 1/10 of the information that's out there about a subject, to jump to conclusions is a bit much as far as I'm
that's
concerned.
true. And that's true. But my thing, that's why, see, I'm the type of person, I'm going to ask you face to face. I'm not one to say, well, she said that and then form an opinion. That's why I got on her platform and I asked her a question and I said, that's not true. When she's saying corn is not good for you and the food you should eat for your blood type. First off, that's not the only way to help people. Everybody's body chemistry is different. Everybody's got something going on. But to curse at them, and then like I wanted to say, well, you're not God. How are you telling people what they should eat and not give them a solution, or what they should not eat, or just to put somebody down and then tell them to get off my page, instead of having them come on the platform? And then I would have said something like, well, come on up, let's talk about it. But to
Mhm.
tell them to get off my page, and only you could speak, and you were reading what people were saying, but you wouldn't give people a chance to explain themselves or explain their comment. I think, and here I am saying, why don't you come and join us and share the platform and be able to give your 2 cents? But they don't like that. They want somebody to curse at them and tell them to get off the page and call them ignoramuses and call them all these different names. So yeah, that's what they're people are shocked by that. That's that, just like you said, that show back in the day That's
Mhm.
what people like. But what they don't know is it's cancer causing. And I don't want anybody to talk to me, and I'm not going to support anybody on a platform talking to me crazy and not give me a chance to explain what I'm saying. My thing is, people shouldn't be putting all this stuff out here on these platforms and it's not accurate. See,
That's
and if
true.
yeah,
Yeah, it's true, and it's not even entertaining. After a while, that kind of stuff gets old. It's not entertaining.
no.
There's no substance there. You know,
If
if you are a comedian, one of the reasons you're well known is because there's substance in what
Right.
you say before you uh, do the bar, before you do a put down. There's substance there. But to put someone down for the sake of putting someone down, I don't know what it benefits. I really don't. And not only is it cancer causing, it's horrible for your blood pressure. It's
Yeah.
horrible for your blood sugar. It becomes a stressor, and it's horrible. And what stresses then can turn into a medical situation.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. She literally was insulting them, but yet she's advertising a product. Number one, it's not even her product. Number
Okay.
two, why would you insult people and then tell them, well, if you don't believe me, or that's why you should try my product. Listen, you're in the wrong lane, because people will believe that
Mm.
and they may not have a good result. And here I am talking about doing things naturally. People don't want that. They want to be cursed at. They want to buy what somebody told them to buy. They don't want to put in the work. And I'm always saying, let's talk about healing. Let's talk about your blood work. Let's talk about your minerals and your vitamins. Let's talk about exercising, water. Make sure you're drinking water and reducing stress. I hear people every day tell me, my doctor didn't tell me that.
Well,
And I'm
you
like,
can't
oh,
depend on a doctor, another human being, to tell you what you need. What about introspection? What
right,
about sitting quietly with as
right.
few distractions as possible and thinking,
Thinking
posing
for
questions
yourself.
to yourself and
Yes,
then going on a search for the answers? Because I'm convinced that we have the answers, but there's just so much competing for it that we
yes,
we can get caught up into is it the cat that chases his tail or the dog that chases it? Whatever animal chases their tail, we get caught up into that kind of thing. And I remember, this brings to mind the story of Little Black Sambo, which was one of the most racist fairy tales, short stories in the world. But it ended up with these tigers, I guess, who started chasing each other's tails, and they ended up being a pot of butter. See, fairy tales don't make sense anyway. And this one was really a horrible fairy tale. And I'm glad they pulled that kind of stuff off
yeah.
the
See,
library shelves. But we come prone to listening to fairy tales and
yes,
accepting them as truth.
yes,
You have
yes.
to be able to have criteria for what truth is
Right.
and what truth is not. You
Listen,
remember that
but
song,
people,
One of These Things is Not Like the Other?
right,
Okay. Well,
right. But
truth
that's
is
what
not a
people
lie.
No, and that's what people are doing. They want somebody else to tell them, and then they think people are putting in the work, and then they'll go do what they're telling them to do, which is
Mhm.
what this platform was all about. Oh, you guys shouldn't eat this, you shouldn't eat that, you should do this and you should do that and buy my product and then download the foods you shouldn't eat. Well, are you telling them, if you're telling them the foods that they shouldn't eat, are you telling them how to cook the foods that you're suggesting they eat? Do you know the nutrients that's in the food that you're telling them they should eat? Why not give them solutions? Don't just, like, they're just telling people to buy certain things, but they're not telling them anything else about it. And that's why I keep saying, what makes me different than everybody else? Because I'm going to give you the why. I'm going to give you options. And it
Mhm.
just, I tell you, I was just baffled. I couldn't believe it. And so, yeah, there's a lot of people. Simon Says, you remember
Yeah,
Simon
I
Says?
remember that.
Yeah, that's what people are, followers. They are not leaders. And the ones that are leaders are the ones that are really not getting the recognition, because right now it's all about clicks and views. And I'm sorry, that's not good enough for me.
Well, it goes back to that song. That's entertainment. Remember 100 years ago when Entertainment Tonight first started? And it was
Yes,
years and years ago. But at least they were telling the truth. It was
right.
entertainment. They weren't posing as something that they were not. All they were doing was trying to entertain you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what this lady clearly was doing, entertaining people and conning them to buy her product. Now, my product I make from scratch because I had clients who had problems going to sleep, problems waking up, pain. And the
Hmm.
fact that I've lived my life this way, I've been um, doing stuff for myself for years.
Hmm.
And um, experience, but these people that get a hold of a product, I get that it worked for them, but just because it worked for them did not mean it was going to work for everyone else. And that's what I heard her tell her story. That's nice. But when you look at the person, um are they healthy? That's the thing too. To look healthy and to be healthy and to feel healthy is another thing. But don't have people going out here buying stuff. Many are eating all wrong anyway. And then
Right.
you tell them to go do this and what they shouldn't eat. Meanwhile, they probably should have been eating. That's not that's the thing. The solution is knowing when to eat certain foods. Some people need to reduce their carbohydrates. Some people need to quit eating bread and pasta and for until they get their values down, and then learn how to eat it in moderation. Like scripture tells you, anything you do in moderation. If they really want to get technical, they can go to Leviticus. It tells them. But why are all these people acting like, they're trusting and believing, but they're not? We have to do better than that. We have to worry about our own body. We have to
I,
learn how to listen to our own body.
I think what has happened is that we have been programmed to be followers. Because what do you do when you have more leaders than you have positions to put them in? But we've been
Yeah.
programmed to accept what we're told. We've been programmed, and I'm talking about we all people have been programmed in such a way that the thinking that occurred with our parents, for example, especially with our grandparents, The
Mhm.
thinking that they had to do for survival was true critical thinking.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
been replaced with a nation of sheep. And that book
Yes.
came out when I was in elementary school, and the librarian wouldn't let me check it out because she knew I wouldn't understand it at 8 or 9 or however uh, age I was. But we've become a nation of sheep. And
Yeah.
sheep go where the leader takes them.
Yes.
If we're
Down.
talking about spiritual, then yes, it's Psalm 23. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. But the shepherd takes care of the sheep.
Of the
And,
sheep.
and
That's right.
we have been taught, and this is systematic, and I say this as a former school teacher. We have been taught to be followers.
Yes, Lord. Yes,
We have
Lord.
been taught to revere money and other aspects of so called fame that really have nothing to do with the character that you were talking about. See, we stopped developing character when there were Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, Cubs, and all of that. The main purpose was to develop character,
Yes.
to give you the strength to recognize right from wrong and to make choices. I don't know what happened to that, but it's been gone a long time.
It's a shame. It's a shame. And for these people to follow people that I don't understand why they can't pick up that that's not a way to treat people.
Well, they've
I'm
been,
I'm not
it's
I'm trying to understand at what point do you take control of your self-esteem, your worth, your mindset? Why do we need to be entertained that way? Because I'm trying to understand since 2020, here it is 2024, why people are not trying to do something different or
because
stand
they've
up
been
for something.
programmed. They've been programmed. They're programmed. Their brains are programmed
Yeah,
to
it's a
follow.
mess.
It's a mess. It's a mess,
And
but
it's a
they've been
doggone shame.
programmed.
But you
And,
know,
and
my mom and dad used to say, you came here by yourself, you got to leave by yourself. While
that's
you're
right.
sitting up here getting entertained, you should be working on your body, learning how to slow down the process of aging. Learn how to do something for yourself. Because I'm going to tell you, that half these people, and they also said, that's why I go off of what my parents say, because it's coming to fruition now. Just like she said, people will disappoint you when you least expect it. And then just think, these people are buying everything that somebody tells them to buy, and then they decline. Then what?
Well,
What
that's
you
what's
gonna
been
do?
happening all the while. Look at the commercials. Look at the products that are loaded with sugar when we know how bad sugar is for health.
Yeah,
Look at the products that have no nutritional value. Now,
right.
I used to love a lot of things like Cheetos and potato chips and all of that. I I weaned myself off sugar years ago. And I
Right.
have over the years slowly weaned myself off many things that I decided were not good for me.
Yes,
But
yes.
you know what? I know my body, or as my mother told the the physician when I was pregnant. My former husband was in the military, and she went to a an appointment with me, and he was telling me all the things that I should do and all of that. And mother said, "How do you know? You've never had a baby."
See,
Okay.
listen,
That was just her. That's the way she was. She told the truth and shamed the devil, but she sure did
yeah,
question him. And it had nothing to do with the fact that he was a ranking military officer. He really had never had a baby. And if he had,
no,
he wouldn't be in the military. He'd be
you got
someplace
that right.
real rich. But
Well,
yeah,
that's true, and that's a fact. Just like one time, not long ago, I was on a sugar kick myself, and I said, I'm thinking, well, let me just get some Twizzlers and some Skittles, and I was eating the Skittles, and I was like, oh, I ate the whole bag, not the ones that you share with, but the little small bag, and I
uh-huh,
was eating. And do you know something just said? Candy doesn't taste the same like it used to taste when we were coming along. And
uh-huh.
so I looked on the back of the Skittles package. Listen, if people, I don't even think I saved the package, but it's not candy anymore. If people look at the ingredients on these
Yeah,
packages, they wouldn't be eating this stuff like we used to eat all kinds of stuff. And now I'm not eating any more Skittles
you're right.
because it's modified.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah.
I'm sorry, and I got a sweet tooth and stuff like that, but I have learned how to make things with better products. And then another thing I think the lady said, you shouldn't be eating wheat and you shouldn't be eating this. You shouldn't be eating tofu. That is not the same for everyone. And
No.
that's the thing. That's the problem I have with these platforms. They need to quit telling people what they should not eat when you don't know their blood levels, you don't know anything about them, and these people are following you. That is not okay.
No, but people are looking for answers. And that's what's so sad
Yes.
about this because people, I believe, want to do better. I
Yes.
believe they do, and they're looking for answers. But
Yes.
what we have to do is to make sure that the so called expert really is an expert, really has been trained, and it doesn't have to be university training. It can be on the job training, but the person has to know the basics of things. And until somebody can show me that he or she can do that, then I'm going to be like, I'm from Missouri, show me.
Show me
You're
state.
going to have to
Yeah,
show me.
well, but let me tell you something. The trained people don't get notoriety. Like I said, I've been doing this all my life. I don't need to have a degree for something that I've been doing all my life since I was old enough to understand, all the way till now, over 50 years. And then that's the first thing people say. What kind of credentials do you have?
Yeah.
I don't need credentials for something that's kept me alive for 60 plus years.
Mhm.
And now I'm sharing it with the world and all the research and all the knowledge. The thing about it is I do have studies. I do have real people with results. You see, these people that are out here selling stuff, explain to me, what are you going off of, how many units they sold, or are you going off of the results from all of their clients? Do you have case studies? You see, so that's the thing about me. I don't think people realize, because number one, they listen, people are in their ear, and they listen to chatter and they won't call. I say all the time, give me a call. I say all the time, simplyjewel.com. If I can, as they say, I've got receipts,
Mm-hmm.
but like you say, they mean well. They may mean well. They may
Amen.
want answers.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you got to
we
look
do.
at the person too.
We want to live happy, if not joyous, lives. We want
Right,
to live
right.
to the fullest that we can. We really do. And we have been taught very carefully to listen to experts. It's like the educator who writes a book and it's filled with stuff, but there's nothing to support what they're saying. And many of them have never been in a classroom. Many of them are writing about classroom techniques, and they've been in the ivory tower of university life doing
Mm,
research, but not having anything to do with real live kids. When I taught
right. I
high
say,
school English, I knew what it would take to teach kids how to conjugate a verb, how to write a simple declarative sentence, because I was in the trenches all the time. So many
hmm
times people write books and they're experts on whatever they feel they're experts on or in. Has nothing to
hmm
do with reality. Nothing.
no. And I say that all the time. A lot of people have in the medical industry, a lot of people have clinical hours inside a facility, but get out in the trenches, as you say, get out in the community, talk to these people, learn how these people are, the culture. A lot of people don't know how to do that, but yet, and they're burning out, you see. But like I say, people like myself who's out here trying to make a difference, who's telling the truth, and not just, you're not just a number, you're a person, and it takes time to get to know someone in order to help them. Don't you remember? Well, we all know about the color purple,
Yeah.
when Celie was healing and helping, brushing her hair, giving her a bath, turning on the music. You've got to feel people's energy. It's not about just take this med and call me if you in 3 months, call me in 6 months. You got to get to know people in order to help people, and everybody doesn't have that spirit. And that's what I have a problem with. You got people, everybody's trying to get on the bandwagon, everybody's trying to be great, but how's your spirit? Do you really know what you're trying to do to help people? Are you just so, well, you know no. And then they, cosmetology, nursing, and science. Well, I eat, live, and breathe what I do, have been since I was a little girl, and got the paperwork to prove it. But these people, they listen to chatter, they listen to gossip, and then they pick and choose. My theory is people are going to have to start taking things a little more seriously. Many are trying to tell you what's beneficial, but they're not giving you a solution. They don't even understand the chemical mechanism of some of the stuff that they're selling.
Mm-hmm.
So we can go on and on and on, and people are putting up with too much. They're putting up with shenanigans. They're putting up with just a sale. And these people are not proficient. They're just selling something. You know how they used to say you can sell an ice cube to somebody in Miami if you're a good salesperson. But it's not about just selling products now. It's about knowing what really works, understanding people, and giving people a chance um to be themselves. That's why I always go naturally, because I never know what's in product. I'm not, just because you tell me to buy something doesn't mean I'm gonna buy it. Just like there's what is it, the Ozempic craze. They don't even know the research, that's the things that's going to happen to them after they take it. That's
No,
a tool to start weight loss, but it's not a permanent solution. You still got to put in the work, but people want to do it, and I'm not following the leader. I'm sorry.
quick fixes. We're
Yeah,
accustomed to quick fixes.
yeah.
And we
So
just
the
have to slow the train down.
yeah.
We
Well,
have to. Quick
and that's
fixes.
That's what it is. And I'm not about a quick fix. When you do things naturally, and we'll end on this note. For those that want to make healthy choices, I am gonna change the the packages and may do a trial run for those that want to make healthy choices the right way and not buy all these juices and not buy all this stuff that people are promoting, because the issue is if people are trying to lose weight, um, they have to do more than just burn calories. Because some carbohydrates is good for the metabolism, but
Sure.
people don't. They don't know all this stuff. They're just following a trend. So, with that being said, there's things that people need to do to get in alignment. I know I was here for or born for a time such as this. Like you said, the character is what I'm all about. So even people that are just trying to make a sale, bless your heart. I hope people don't fall short, and we keep them lifted and keep people in a positive mindset, because that also helps them to become their best self, not just doing anything just to see if it works. That's why the cosmetic industry, it's a $1 billion company, because people do what other people tell them to do, and it's not for them. That's why health and wellness and people buying all these different vitamins is a $1 billion company, because people are buying it and finding out, oh, it doesn't work for me. But all you got to do is call Simply Jewel, and I can help you create a regime just for you. So you're darned if you do and darned if you don't, but I'm gonna keep on going, because you can see the results. And I'm how I look, all natural, still here, no asthma attack in over 35 years. Listen, I'm your product right here. So that's why I'm not worried, because nothing fake about me. This is all natural. Even my nails are natural. So, anywho, that's what I have to say. That's what people are putting up with. They're putting up with all the things that people are telling them to do and take, and bless their hearts. We'll see what the next few months look like after they take some of these supplements that they didn't even do the homework on. So, anything in closing? What can you say? You've given us so much information. You educated us, and that's what I like about you. You always take it to the educational side and give a different perspective on some of the things that we're talking about.
Well, you've issued the challenge. You've issued the challenge clearly, very clearly. And now, as the old cliche goes, the ball is in their court. And so we wait and hope that what you said, the challenge that you put out there, is taken up. Okay, and that people operate from that. We're not saying, and you're not saying that anyone has to be perfect.
Right.
You are challenging people to take control of their own individual life.
Right.
We're not herds. We're not in pastures. We're not in cages. So each one of us is responsible, first of all, for herself, and then to the extent that we're able to help others. It is
Right.
true. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So when you have the opportunity to help and you have the capability to help, then it's incumbent upon you to help. But it's up to me. If it
That's
is
right.
to be, it's up to me. And that's where I'll close with you. I agree with you. The challenge is there. And I want to see what happens to those people
Well,
who take up the challenge.
well, I do too. I don't know. Like I say, I stopped following the lady, but I'm sure in the next few months, if people buy things that do not work for them, uh, I don't care if they get I'm not sure if they're getting reviews of or not about taking this particular supplement. But the thing I just cannot understand is why would people buy supplements from a person that is cursing you out, telling you to get off the page, just all kinds of nasty things, and really believe that you know people are liking how she's treating them. I don't like, that's why I'm not following, because what you're not going to do is curse me out just so I can buy your product. That's just a no for me. So good luck, people, with that, and hope to see you next week. We're just gonna play it by ear and see, who wants to come on. I know everybody's busy. I know we were trying to create a platform where we all can do it at least once a week or once a month so that we can visit other people's platforms. But non-communication, you don't know which way to go. It used to be you have the Zoom meetings and figure it out, but listen, it's summertime. Maybe things will get better in the fall and the winter, which is really my favorite time, my favorite season. So we're just gonna do a little, and like I said, I'm gonna make some changes starting next month, July 1. So people can look for that. And I'm not gonna do the drama thing, but I am going to delegate a little different, and hopefully bring some people who do know how to communicate, and who can participate in what we're doing over here on Simply Jewel Cosmetics and Health Services on Facebook. And tell them, Miss Dorothy, where to follow you, where they can follow you.
Well, I'm on YouTube and Facebook and all of that, but more than anything, I want to close with saying to you, be encouraged. We plant seeds. That's what we do. And I'm no farmer. My parents were. And I can remember the times as an adult I planted seeds, corn seeds. And there are different
Right,
kinds of corn seeds. But when I
right.
planted and watered and pulled weeds and all of that, it
Got to
still took,
cultivate.
yes, it took
Yeah.
60 days at a minimum for me to see a small ear of corn. And the reason
Yes.
I say to you to be encouraged is because you're planting seeds. And
Yes.
no, you don't go and dig up the seed every other day to see how well it's doing. You're planting seeds. You're doing what you can do. And then you wait and let it do what it does.
Yes.
Let it
Yes.
do what it
I
does.
Yeah,
So
I said that last year. I planted a seed because I know people are watching. They just don't want to admit that it's coming from me. And
no,
I
it's
do
not that.
cultivate.
It's not that. It's not
Yes.
that. It
Yeah.
is our different roles. Some are to plant the seeds. What does it say? And Paul planted,
Cultivate.
somebody watered, and God gave the increase. But just
Yeah.
know that you've done what you can do, and
Oh,
don't
yes.
don't be critical if you aren't hearing from people the way you'd like to or anything like that. Doesn't mean they're not listening, doesn't mean they're not watching, could simply mean that they're agreeing with you and they are working on ways to implement some of the things that have been suggested. So be encouraged.
Yes.
Be
Well,
encouraged.
thank you for that. And normally I am because listen, that's what I do, encourage people. But my thing is, I'm ready for the ones that are real. And I think I've said many a times before, I plant the seed, I cultivate, and I'm waiting for it to manifest. But in this season, I'm taking it up a notch because I know that there are people out there who really want to make a difference with their health. So I appreciate you saying that because it keeps me grounded, it keeps me lifted. And at this point, I am just excited about what's coming because, like I said, I've been living this life for a long time, and I do know that people are looking for people like me to assist, if nothing else, but to do the research and give them the why, and then we can implement it. So, thank you for that. And
You
I
are
just want to say, good night, everyone. We will hopefully be back on next week. Lord willing, we don't know. We're going to play it by ear. I'm really not going to do a lot of advertising until, like I said, we still have a few days left in this month, but look for me and start watching after July. We've got some new things coming. And with that being said, peace and blessings, everyone. I'm going to take us out with a little bit of music. And let's see, what else we're going to go into space here for a minute.
good night.
Good night, Dr. D.
Yes.